Thank you. I wear many different hats. I used to work over here. He helped put this building together many years ago. Put the original incubator out in Telecom Park, but moved on. So a little bit of history. Graduated from this university before a lot of you all in this room were born, and that's a true story. I work for the Small Business Development Center, which is a branch of the Small Business Administration. We report into the College of Business right here on campus. My specialty is technology commercialization. I do have certifications in a couple of these areas. But I'm also on the state committee for the Phase 0 program, which we have here in the state of Florida. We originally saw a need for, we put it together, and we're continuing on. So what I'm going to do is cover this in a broad view, not on an individual view about you, your company, etc. If you have any questions, stop me at any time, and we'll try to answer those questions for you, because I'd much rather answer those. Now, I won't be able to answer it specifically for your company without knowing a little bit more. And if you disagree with something I'm saying, tell me. I'll be more than happy to correct it. I'm not bashful. One of the biggest things is that being a business consultant, people will come in and say, I hear there's grants for me to start my small business, so I normally have to start out by saying, yes, but, okay? And the yes, but basically says I send them to the federal government site, and that's anytime you see .gov, that is federal government. The reason I put that information below is that is about 1.5% of all small businesses ever get a grant to get themselves started or to grow their business, and most of that happens to be in the SBIR and STTR categories and where you get those grants. I said most, not all. So what is the real purpose behind the SBIR and STTR program? It is to promote technology innovation on one side of the table. That's you all, the business owners who are bringing technology in. On the other side, it's really to help fund some of the research from Florida, and that's why we put together the Phase 0 program. It is only for small businesses, so I'm going to use a generic definition of small businesses because a lot of people have a misconception that the normal range is going to be somewhere of less than 500 employees, less than 10 million in revenue. Okay, different categories for different industry segments, but that's a good rule of thumb to be looking at. So I want to give you kind of like, are there really grants out there, and are they really out there for me to be able to do? So what do we have up here, and what are they? Really what we've got is the important side of it, and that's the SBIR, Small Business Innovative Research. I'm going to use a layman's overview on my statements about SBIR. You own a company who has a technology who wants to sell something to the government. That is a vendor, not a grant. So I'm going to use my silly example. The government says, I need a pen that writes left-handed only, zero gravity, and underwater. Now they're looking for some sort of innovative research, and that's what the SBIR program was all about. Now, it does not always have to be technology in the manner in which most university people think. The reason I'm going to share this one with you is to show you that SOCOM, which is local here at MacDill Air Force Base, also has an office in St. Petersburg. The Navy SEALs have to carry a bunch of equipment in their rucksack. They're on board 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They wanted to reduce the number of gloves that were out there. So they put out an SBIR. Can we reduce the number of gloves that a Navy SEAL has to carry in their rucksack? So there was a small mom and pop shop, when I'm saying small business. And so they came up with an innovative material to go in between. Because why? We had to look at wet gloves, dry gloves, cold gloves, hot gloves, work gloves, all kinds of different things. Didn't reduce it down to one, but did reduce the number. And that was the requirement by the agency saying, can you reduce the number of gloves we have to carry? They came up with a unique, what I'm going to call fill material that went inside. So they basically used the same fabric on the top side, on the bottom side, with the unique fabric. So what was the advantage to them of getting the SBIR? They got the phase zero, phase one, because we did not have the phase zero in place at that time. That gave them their initial start. That got them $75,000 to come up with proof of concept that really there was something there of what they thought they had that they would be able to do. And they did that within about a 6-month time frame. They then were asked to do the phase two. They got, I think, $700,000 or $750,000 to do the phase two. And so now what? They have now solved the problem that the government was asking to be solved. SBIR, innovative research. Now, what was the good part about that? That solved SOCOM's problem, that solved the problem for the Navy SEALs, but along comes other federal Department of Defense agencies who now want those same type of gloves. So now what you had was a market there and a sole source provider coming into that marketplace. And the next piece out of this is afterwards, guess what they did? They now started to commercialize those gloves, and you will now find those gloves in what I'm going to call hunting and outdoor places, same gloves, except now they're not camouflage gloves in the manner for the military, but they're camouflage for outdoor hunting, etc. So they took it through what I'm going to call response to the request for innovative research, got their grants, worked it through, solved the problem for the government, got contracts with the government, and oh, by the way, now they've also commercialized it into the marketplace today. Questions on that? The next piece down there at the bottom, the real number today is about 2.5, and most years all of those funds are used. I won't say all, but I'm saying most of the funds are used. Anybody got any questions? Yes, sir.
What is the advantage of doing this with small business rather than large business? Big companies could have done the same thing, find the solution, but I think there is something beyond, developing something that the government requires. I think there might be some economical development aspects to it. Is that correct?
When these programs are put together, and by the way, just to let you know, they've been reauthorized again for 6 additional years of funding, so we got till 2017 for the next appropriation. The government has set-asides for different programs, and a lot of them fall underneath the category of small business. Just like, because I'm a counselor to other businesses, there's minority businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. Those are set aside for specific purposes to help those particular segments to grow. So I'm going to shift with you for a second, and I'm going to give it to you in a marketplace view. Where do most major businesses start? They start in bedrooms and garages. Okay, HP, Disney, both of them were garages. Microsoft, bedroom, garage.
Don't get the kitchen.
Oh yeah, okay. She's already got a kitchen in there too. Because why? The reason for the kitchen is, some of you all may not remember, there was a funky thing called the typewriter, and whenever you want to make a correction on it, you had to get in there and erase it, which became, now we got the eraser dust in the bottom and all the rest of this stuff. And a lady invented in her kitchen what eventually ended up becoming snowbake or whiteout. Okay, it was the name of different names of it. So what I'm trying to say to you, small businesses grow into large businesses. Okay, so that's why the government supports in many different categories, not just in the SBIR STTR program, for the smaller businesses, give them the chance to compete and to bring their technology in, and also to grow that opportunity. So if indeed I happen to be a minority, a woman, I also happen to be a researcher, I'm going to be looking at all of these at the same time as I'm putting my package together. Yes, sir.
How long did it take from the time, in your example, from the time they started to get their first funding?
That was approximately, if I remember right, about 3 to 5 months. Let me kind of keep on going here, and I'll show you what I'm trying to say, if I can. And we've got to look at this because a lot of you all are probably going to be researchers in this room. Okay, most everybody in here a researcher? How many of you all own your own company? Okay, so we got, I know, 2 or 3 or 4 of you, okay, because I know a couple of you all in here. you have to be in business. So we have to have a business set up because it is not a program designed for an individual to enhance their idea or concept. It's there for the business. Okay, principal investigator has to be primarily employed as the business, not as a researcher at the university or a researcher for some other company. Okay. So that kind of gives you some of the upfront guidelines behind it. Same thing for the STTR. The only difference now on the STTR, I want to make sure that you understand, because there's a couple of words up there called non-profit, and originally I said could not be a non-profit, had to be a for-profit business. A university is a non-profit. Okay? So now let me use my example. Somebody who has gone from the SBIR, now they're doing technology transfer. That's where Valerie McDermott's group and the Technology Transfer Office would work with a company who is trying to do something and needed the assistance of research and technology people here at the university. So that's why you see the words in there of non-profit. Question? By the way, throughout the entire process, you still own your IP. Okay? Nowhere in here through a grant program do you give up the intellectual property, nor do you give up equity in the company. Okay? Now, I'm speaking to the University of South Florida because that's where we're located. I know that they don't do that, but there have been some universities who have tried to take equity in companies and or do different things. I'm talking mainly about here, where we are today. These are generalized statements in here because you can get up to about $150,000 for the phase one. That's what I'm going to call the feasibility study. Do I really have something of what I think that I can do? Will it really happen? Okay. The phase two, this is where we're really getting into the full research. We might be doing some prototyping in it this time. The normal is going to be about 750, but you could get up to about 2 million. Okay. Now I'm going to move you from the federal program, because that's everything I've been talking to you about so far has been federal grants, SBIR, STTR, whether it's a phase one, phase two, phase three, etc. It doesn't matter. We here in the state of Florida found that we were ranked extremely poorly in the nation for receiving SBIR phase ones. We did a statewide study and we looked at it, and we ranked out of the, I think we were 39th or 40th the first year that we looked at the numbers even got worse. I think we got to 42. That's at the bottom of the list, and look at all the research that happens here in the state of Florida. So we got together, a group of us, along with Enterprise Florida, because they are the ones who own the program, fund the program, and manage the program. All right, so why did we create it? We wanted to create more awareness. That's why I'm here today telling you about the SBIR Phase Zero program. The second component of it, increase our opportunities for companies. Our process is very quick, very easy to do, and it can get you into being ready for your phase one. So what does the phase zero really do for you? It helps you get positioned for better preparation for your phase one when you actually apply. Okay? So you can get up to $3,000, that is the standard amount, and that is given to you in two pieces, $1,500 on the front and $1,500 when you complete the project. And the numbers that you see there are now wrong. The numbers now are 46 we've done now in the state, and 15 of them now have been from the Tampa Bay area because we just got another one approved. It is not me. It is the companies who apply and follow some quick, easy procedures to make this happen. And that's why we see such good results, quite frankly, out of the Tampa Bay area. Yes, sir.
How many applied out of the 46 that got it? How many applied?
6 did not get it. 2 of them dropped out for unknown reasons, okay? It was either one or two dropped out because they were in the middle of a round of funding, and you don't want to be doing grants while you're trying to be doing funding. And I forget the other two, quite frankly, but it was, our numbers been very successful. So let me explain to you, I am on the Phase 0 steering committee. I'm on the awards committee. Okay, so I understand what's going on in this, and that's why I'm encouraging you to apply. If you got a company and you want to try. Eligibility of a partnering organization. Now let me explain to you what a partnering organization is.
I just wanted to say too, if start with you, we'll have these PowerPoints on our website, or I can email them to people, because
Yeah.
people taking notes. Is that all right if I
Oh,
do that?
you've already had it. How long have you had it, ma'am?
I just wanted to be sure you're okay with me emailing them to everybody that I
You
know.
can do anything with it you want to. This is standard information with no changes to it, okay? We'd like to know that it's getting out there where people apply. That's what we're trying to say to you, okay? So, partnering organization. The incubator is a partnering organization. That's why Wendy called me, because I am part of the SBDC program on a statewide network. So we have many people scattered throughout the state. Most of them in the area, partnering organizations, refer them to me because I've got a little bit more experience. Please, I'll use Wendy, she's a friend of mine, than what Wendy would have in the SBIR program, and we've had some good results. But it's partnering and teamwork. You can't do anything alone. That's my theory. And you have to have a recommendation from us. So let me tell you what actually happens. You call and say, hey, I'd like to be able to apply for a grant. The first question I'm going to ask you is, what agency, what number? Okay? And please, I'm trying to be polite with you, at the same time be realistic with you. I get a lot of them who will come in and say, no, I just want to apply for any grant. As a matter of fact, I had one here recently, submitted a letter with intent to file for a grant. Who they do? National Institute of Health, if I'm not mistaken. And I said, when did they send you back? And they sent back, you got to do the following procedures. So if indeed you think that you've got something and you want to sit down with me, what we look at is, does it sound like that it's a match? I'm not that critical, because why? You know your technology better than I do, and we can look it over here and say, they're requesting, in my kidding story that I told you a while ago, a pen, left-handed, underwater, zero gravity, and your company has nothing to do with making pens. I've got a big question mark in my mind. Can you do it? So I'm going to ask you a little bit more questions to see how we can do it. And there's a series of questions that you're going to get from me. And then all I do is I sign a letter just basically saying, you are a client of the Small Business Development Center, and I recommend you for the Phase 0 program. It's not that difficult. I turn down very few. I only turn down the ones that are kind of like the ones I gave you for examples, all right? Don and I have worked on a couple together, so we, never said no to him, all right? You've got to be ready to submit that stuff. Don't be looking at a Phase 0 and say, I don't know if I'll ever submit it. We want to know that you are going to be submitting, okay? And you're going to be submitting a Phase 1 within the year. Okay. Now, a lot of people will say, how do I find these? I'll give you some websites here at the very end. But on the other side of it, some people will say, how do I start to look? And what do I look for? So if indeed you stick with me, we'll get those at the very end. But we want to make sure that we have a solicitation request that's out there. Now, some of them are open. Okay? So I'm going to use, by example, the Department of is exhaustive everything that they have. They've already completed most of their SBIRs for the year. They may put some open calls out there. Does anybody have any new ideas in the area of? And they will consider those. All right? So sometimes we do get those. The last two, if you've received a Phase 1 in the past 5 years, you do not qualify for the Phase 0. And if you have not submitted Phase 0 in the past 12 months, because we don't want people doubling up. Our deal is we're trying to get people involved, not the same people over and over and over. Okay. Here's the process. And all of this is going to be on the website. So, I mean, we can go to eFlorida and we'll pull the whole thing down. There is a participation fee of $250. And the last time I made the presentation, somebody said, why do you charge $250? That's the way we keep the program funded. Okay? So your $250 goes back in, and we do have adequate funding to continue on for many years to come yet, underneath Enterprise Florida's budget. Okay? Again, the amount of the order is going to be $3,000. You get half on the upfront after you sign an agreement with Enterprise Florida and at the conclusion of your project. So let's walk through this. You and I sat down together. I wrote you a letter of recommendation. I'm going to send that to Enterprise Florida. Louis Lobster is going to send you some material. The application is going to be online. That makes it nice and easy. There's about, I think, either 10 or 11 different components to the question, and it's mainly about you and then about the SBIR that you're applying for and how and what you're proposing to do. So what do we do with this? We need this 5 weeks prior to. And you're going to say, why do you need it 5 weeks? We need to get your application. We need to get it to Enterprise Florida. I'm sorry, recommendation, and we need to get our application to Enterprise Florida. Then we've hired an outside consulting firm called Litmus. And Litmus hires 3 experts to do the evaluation. We get back, and you get back, a report that basically says the 3 experts came up with narrative that you all are excellent in what you're proposing in the category of. Now let me go to the next level of it and say, but do they have the facilities, because it's not indicated in their document? Okay? Because that's going to be one of the questions in there. So you're going to get back a narrative which now enhances your value whenever you finally do write your phase 1. Because why? You've been told over here what you got good and maybe what's not so good. Okay? The other thing too is we get, and you also get the same thing in numerical score. So if you get an 85, I'm going to say 99 chance out of 100, you're going to get the $3,000. You get a 64, and they graded you very poorly on facilities because it was not put in your application. I'm going to call you back and say, what can you tell me about your facilities? Oh, we're getting ready to sublease space from somebody who has the necessary equipment and tools to be able to do what we need to do. We resubmit that back into our committee, and you will probably get it because it shows that you've taken action to correct something that was in the narrative report and also the numeric report that came from Litmus. I was told by somebody recently the $250 we charge, because we have to pay for Litmus to do it for us, they called Litmus Direct and wanted to do one with Litmus on a direct road, and it was $1,500. So I look at this as a good investment. You're getting a $1,500 report for $250. And $250 is telling you what you've got good, what you don't have so good, and what needs improvement, which now helps you prepare for it.
So Litmus basically takes all of your supporting material for that specific SBIR1 application and gives you kind of like an assessment, kind of
Yes,
like
ma'am.
as if they're the awarding agency.
You will not have the full proposal. It is an application form where you're filling in the data. Okay, but you won't have the full document that you're going to be filing. They're not reviewing that.
Okay.
They're only reviewing what you turn in the application.
Okay, not the full.
No, ma'am.
Because a lot of times, if you're that close to the closing date, you're going to have a draft proposal already.
Yes, ma'am. The only reason we say this is we've had people who called us 3 days before.
Ah, got it.
And we had to put a cutoff somewhere.
Right.
Because it's not just for us, it's for them. Because of just what you pointed out.
Right.
Because they don't have time to do the research, to write it, edit it. So.
Did you say that the program is funded by this $250 application fees?
Phase 0 is funded by Enterprise Florida. Are you familiar with Enterprise Florida? It is the old Department of Commerce in the state of Florida. And I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, we did away with the Department of Commerce, And it's a public and private partnership located in Orlando that works like the Department of Commerce for the entire state. They've got international offices as well as state offices. Yes, sir?
Do we need to include any technical data?
Say again?
Do we need to include any technical data?
Not at the early stages of this, not in the application. You will when you're getting ready to file for your actual SBIR Phase 1.
Not here.
Remember, I'm going to use this in layman's terms for a second. Fix my glove. We think that we've come up with a new fabric called yickety, okay, to put in between, okay? That's what you're going to be putting in the application. You're not going to be putting in that yickety is made of the following kind of fabrics and components, okay? That's going to be later on over here. That's when you're going to be actually getting your full proposal put in. This is just pre-applying for your Phase 1. Everything on Phase 0 is pre-applying. Okay. So, we get that application back, the award steering committee. So that's why, if you notice, we're pretty quick in when we get your material. We try to do this fast. You get it to us, we get it done quick. Normally within 10 days, we've given you an answer. I'm talking about from the day that you've completed your application. It's all online. It is not that difficult to do. I can do it. All right? The contract is between your company and Enterprise Florida. On the average, 1 out of 10 Phase 1 proposals are funded. What am I telling you? Highly competitive for any one of your grant programs. So when that grant hits the Department of, you're not the only one looking at it. A lot of other people are looking at the same grant. So that's why we're saying the normal rule of thumb is about 1 out of 10 actually will end up getting funded. So you've got to look at the competition that's out there. If you look at Phase 2, it is not automatic. There are some of them that are automatic that go straight into Phase 2. More of them, though, you have to be asked to do the Phase 2. Okay. Why do I like it? I don't have to pay the money back. Who wants to give me $1 million and I'll take it? Okay, and it's free to me to use. And again, I want to go back to the last piece on that. The intellectual property rights are still you and your company's. It does not become the Department of. Is this right for you? Okay? There's many answers, many questions in which I can put about, is this right for you? The reason that this gentleman asked me, how many may actually, I'm going to go down to the one down there, is an appropriate, can't even speak, capital strategy at the right time. The one was going on a funding round at the right time. It was not the time to be playing with small grants. So that's why. So you're really looking at sometimes doing business with the government. So if indeed that's who you want to do business with, this might be a right strategy for you. There are some people who don't want to do business with the government, so it's not a good strategy for them. Questions? I mean, I'm just rolling through this. We may be done in 30 minutes, as opposed to 45. If I don't get questions, it goes fast. I'd much rather go fast, then you all can get back to work or whatever you need to do. Technology development funding for you, your company, can lead into additional funding sources. So now let me share with you, I'm not here to talk about the Florida High Technology Grant Program, but you can link sometimes Florida High Tech grant dollars along with an SBIR Phase 2 and use of equipment, university, etc. for your company to better yourself. Yes, sir.
Are those matching grants or?
Yes, sir. They're a matching grant program. Yes, sir. And Wendy ought to be able to give you the information on Florida High Tech Corps. There's the 3 universities. It originally started out as Central Florida and USF. I don't know, 5-8 years ago, the University of Florida was added on to it. And again, it's a matching grant program.
But you can use the SBIR money for the match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not on all categories, but yes, you can use your SBIR money on a Phase 2 to be able to.
For the matching grant, where the IP stands for?
Say again?
For the matching grant. IP, I'm talking about the IP,
Yes?
where it stays with the company or the other
I can't answer that, okay? Because when I know something, I'll tell you. When I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't know. I don't know. I do not believe you lose the IP on it, but I don't want to tell you wrong. But I'm also going to tell you one thing. If you're in business, okay, because I'm going to assume you're in business and you own a company, and if you've got intellectual property, you need to get a good IP attorney to protect you all the way through. Because I get people who come in all the time, I'm going to take my IP and I'm going to go take it to Apple, just making something up, okay? And I'm going to say, what did your IP attorney? Oh, I got something off of the internet that was a non-disclosure statement that I'm going to use to go to Apple with. I'm going to go, time out, don't do that, okay? I've been around too long.
Did you say all three of the major universities are tied into this, or just USF and USF?
All three, Central Florida, USF, and Florida, and the Florida High-Tech Corridor Matching Grant Program.
Okay, no FSU.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Here, let me put it to you this way. Stranger things have happened. Okay, so I tell you what I think I know the answer to. I think we're pretty well. I'm going to drop down to the media, okay, on this thing. The day that you finish with your phase 1 and phase 2, if you get that also, you have an immediate customer. You've established a sole position statement with the government. Remember what I told you? Gloves for Navy SEALs. Many government agencies now want a glove, and we also have the capability to commercialize this. Get help. I'm going to say something to you that if I could say nothing more to you today, I'm going to start with the first thing is, look at grants, contact the program or project managers, talk to them and find out what's really going on. They normally will not say, that's a winner, send it in. They won't say that, and they won't say, that's a loser, don't send it in. But you can catch the words from them, okay? They will tell you what they're really looking for. But when the grant opens, you talk to them as much as what you want to. The day the grant closes, that request, when it closes, you will not be answered voicemail, email, personal mail, snail mail, because it's closed. They will not talk anymore. So get to know these people and talk to them, and sometimes they can even give you indications of what might be coming in the future. I'm also going to say, by getting to know the people in your area of expertise in these particular programs, knowing those program and project managers, that's how a lot of people have ended up in an open call. They finally have said, we think we see other things out there on the horizon, and let's go do it. Okay? The other one that I'm going to recommend, if you're not a grant writer, hire a grant writer. Minimum, hire a grant editor and reviewer. We got some of the tops in the country. He spoke here, 2 or 3 months ago? Jim Greenwood. I'm not trying to promote Jim, but I can give you about 5 names. Jim Greenwood Consulting down in Sanibel, is probably one of the best in the country. Okay? And I know what he charges, but I won't quote his rates to you. It's reasonable because why? You've written it up. Jim has worked on all sides of it and can really help you target down your information. There are several other ones that are out there, but I just used Jim because he spoke here a few months back and did a phase 1 seminar here. Okay. Here are some websites for you. If you want to go to sba.gov/SBIR, you can also go to Zen. You can go to grants.gov.
What is Zen?
Say again?
Zen? What is that?
It collects all this stuff and makes it easy for you to find them. So in other words, I also got 2 or 3 more if you don't find what you like here that I could give to you. And what it is they will pull all this stuff down and put it in categories for you and make it easy for you to read. As I always tell people, we have tools today that make it easy for us to find information. I'll use one. When somebody comes in and says, I've got this greatest idea, some sliced bread, I always used to tell them, go to uspto.gov, that's the Patent and Trademark Office, and if you don't know what you're doing and trying to do patent searches there, becomes confusing. You sometimes have to use Boolean terms. The graphs, pictures, drawings don't come up at the same time. So we've got a new one out there. If you haven't done it before, you can go to Google Patents. It pulls both down at the same time for you. It makes it easy to read. So we got a lot of different tools that are out there. Yes, sir.
Registering with grants.gov, so that's both for agencies as well as private companies, no problem?
No, sir. .gov is going to be only with federal government agencies. It will not be with private companies.
So if you've got a private company, you want to get grants, don't you use grants.gov?
That's where I'm going to go for anything I'm going to do.
Okay.
Maybe I misunderstood you.
Okay.
If I'm looking in for grants funded by the federal government, I'm going to go to grants.gov. Okay? There's links off of that also.
Okay. I mean, I've worked in both Fed as well as in private.
Right.
So I'm making sure I'm not misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When you're saying private, I tell people over here, there's a lot of people out there who will say, let me help you find a grant. And I'm going to give you my easy comment. Next. Okay? I'm not one to say negative things about anybody because it's a .com, a .net means they're there for the purpose of helping you for a fee.
Right.
Grants.gov says we want to help you, no fee. And I will tell you, I had a lady in the past year who came in and she paid somebody $200, okay, to get her EIN, Employer Identification Number. That is free at irs.gov. And so there's a lot of different companies out there making money off of people because they don't know any better. I'm sorry. Did I halfway answer your question?
You did good.
Okay, I did good?
You did.
First person that ever said I ever did good, period.
What can I say?
If you want to meet with me, okay, or you ever need me, if you notice I do not put a phone number up there, there's a reason why. I am never in one place. I have about 5 offices total, so I'm constantly skipping around, so that's why it's difficult to track me down on phone. And so if you ever want to talk about the grant program, SBIR, STTRs, be more than happy to help you. Technology transfer, be more than happy to help you there. If you're an employee of the university and you got technology that's within the residencies here of the university, you need to be talking to patent and licensing. Okay? Questions? Hey, Wendy, my 45 minutes became 39. Yes, sir. You look like you have questions.
In phase 1 plan, do they expect any preliminary data?
Say what?
Can I expect any preliminary data?
At the end of the phase 1, yes, they're going to be expecting.
No. Apply for the phase 1 plan.
No. I have a concept. That's the phase 1 concept. We're not going to get into the nuts and bolts. I'm going to create a fabric that's going to do the following, using the following kind of deals, okay? You don't get into the last decimal places, okay?
So just present your idea.
On the phase 0, yes, sir.
No, I'm talking about phase 1.
Phase 1, we're going to be getting deeper into it. Yes, sir. We're developing this. We're building a prototype. We're doing the research, R&D on it. Yes, sir.
So to apply for the phase 1 grant, I mean, do we need any preliminary data?
We don't have preliminary data yet. See where I'm going with it? So now I'm going to research it and develop it to proof by concept, to build the prototypes. I mean, there's many different answers to that. But when you're first starting out, we don't have anything to tell them yet, except this is what we believe we can do by doing the following things.
Question. I understand where he is coming from. What about he is ready to launch? So everything is set in stone. So I have done all these things and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So I just take little.
Don, help me. Because
well, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late at that time.
Yeah.
You kill yourself by applying to an SBIR phase 1 because it's a feasibility study. If you're ready to launch, then go find venture capital and get angel funding or somebody to put money in, because they don't want to fund non-feasibility studies. It's actually, if you put too much data in, and you say you're ready to launch, they won't fund you, because they'll say, well, that isn't what the purpose of the SBIR is.
I think this question
Okay.
answers and feels much better.
So you're almost better off not having a whole lot, not telling you have a whole lot of data.
Yeah.
Right, that's why I said R&D, that's what I'm going to be doing. Now let me play the devil's advocate. The reason I picked on Don is Don and I go back 2 days, okay, plus. And I know he's done many different grants over the time frame, and he's got some neat ideas of what he does, and I like a lot of things. So do me a favor, that if indeed we've gotten that far, and we're farther than the feasibility, I'm going to just do a couple quick things with you for a second. This is not SBIR now. I'm trying to help this gentleman, okay? Tell me why, don't answer this question, that somebody would want to invest money in your idea, okay? Because if we can't do that, they're not even going to look at you to invest in it. I used to do pre-screening for angel investment groups and VCs. So let me tell you what my deal was. Get 100 plans, push them off the table as fast as we could. We want to get them down to 10 or 12. Then we'll take a little better, closer look at 10 or 12. Then we'll push those off and we'll get it down to 3. So you've got to, the competition is there, is what I'm trying to say. So you've got to be able to tell them what I've got. And do me a favor, don't tell me the technology is 1.0.7931. There's a problem in the marketplace. I'm solving the marketplace with this particular type of technology. And oh, by the way, later on, we can give them all this technical data. So what I normally find in dealing with technology-based companies is they do this. It's the other way around. Let me tell you that I've got this thing, and it's all the technology, but it never said there's a market need for it. I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't what you wanted to hear, but...
No, what I'm saying is this, I wanted that to help his questions.
Yes.
So basically, he's already walking.
Right.
But basically, what you want for phase 1, tell them how you plan to walk.
Right, exactly. It's a concept.
Yeah.
I got to do my R&D. I don't have any data.
When I did get R&D, sometimes they said that we expect little bit of data, preliminary data. But again, my question is how preliminary data are preliminary? Like how much data are preliminary?
Okay, so we're going to look at each one of the grants because it's going to tell you what they're looking for.
Well, the guideline doesn't say anything. Like guideline doesn't say, hey, we need a preliminary data or we don't need data or something. But the standard, economy is very there. They expect much more than what they used to.
Okay.
It's like a competition.
I'm going to play stupid with you for a second because I'm a marketing guy, not a technical guy. All right, for a second. I'm going to use my pen for left-handed people only. I got a whole lot of homework I got to do on that left-handed pen. I don't have data yet. So I'm going to say that we have the capability to understanding the difference between a person who writes right-handed and a person who writes left-handed. See, I can't even do it correctly, can I? Okay? So I'm now going to be telling them about the human side of the handwriting. I'm not going to tell them that it moves at a 0.07 degree angle because I don't have that yet. So if I'm going to give them any preliminary data, that I understand the human body functions in the following manner, and this is what I'm going to be looking at for the left-handed person. So I've got a concept. I'm responding to what they're looking for. I don't have data yet. That's why you do the R&D on the phase 1. Could I help you? Maybe I'm confusing you more. Yes, sir.
I have a nuts and bolts question. I'm an STTR grant, and I was wondering if you had some input in how to structure the budget between the university and the company. What's the best way to do that?
No, sir, I don't have. You're going to have to sit down with patents and license on that. I will not get in between patents and licensing. That's where I will tell you, you need an IP attorney when you're dealing with an IP group, and that's what I would be doing.
No, I'm not asking about such bolts. I was just wondering if you had a general idea what what other people have done in the past. with STTR.
Sir, that's going to vary from all over the board. It's the industry, it's the product, the whole complete thing. It's like saying, what's the license normally? The license fee, if indeed somebody's doing something, that's all over the board. Question? Yes, sir.
I'm not sure whether I'm clear with your answer with that question about how much information that we need to provide. Can you elaborate on that a little more? I think we are always having this problem. If we don't put anything, the proposal will get rejected. If you put too much, the proposal will get rejected.
Gotcha.
How much we should put so that the proposal will get accepted?
Okay. So I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to let Don speak after I finish this. One of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to write it up, and then you know what I'm going to do? I'm playing Wayne for a second. I happen to be the guy who's applying for this phase one. Okay? I'm going to go hire a grant editor who's going to look at this and say, you didn't put enough data in here. You put too much data in over here. You really don't want to tell the agency this. You do want to tell the agency that. I'm going to use the number. It's the best $500 you'll ever spend. Okay? Because they know what they're looking for. They know it by agency. They know exactly what they're looking for. So that's why I'm going to say to you, write it up, stop, go hire an editor and have them review it.
Where do we get those editors? You said there's a website.
Email me, I'll send you a list of about 5 or 10 in the Tampa Bay area. Okay. Don?
I think the concept of data and the concept here of this is a small business grant. Everybody in the room, I think, probably does the technical background, but the research side of it. You're not applying for research, you're applying for a business grant. So the data you need is the market analysis. If you technically can fly a plane upside down and you got a patent for it, is there a market for it? So the data you need is the market analysis, not the technical data on how the hell to fly a plane upside down. Because nobody may ever want to do that. Everybody will fall out of their seats. You technically could do it. You could put a lot of data in for it. But that's not business. So the hardest part for most people transitioning out of the university is you're good at technology and data, but you don't know squat about business. And this is a business grant. And they live and die on the business marketing analysis of why would anyone even want to put a buck into what your technology is. It's a business grant. So you really got to be thinking about the market. And the data you need is how many people would buy this? How many people fly their planes upside down? And how many people would like to fly a plane upside down? Whatever, but you need to have the marketing analysis and how much would they pay for it if you were going to do it? You may know how to do it, but who cares?
So basically what you're saying is if you have a very good market analysis and if you also include your capabilities of solving this thing, that should be sufficient?
Well, you need a little bit on the technology, but that's not the focus of the grant. The focus is on the business side. So you need the data on the market analysis.
Okay.
But you still have to be credible that you know how to fly a plane upside down. But you don't have to give them every little detail on how you would go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And that's what all of us probably have a whole lot of data on. And we think everybody would want to use our stuff. But the minute, if I ask you why, you go, well, I thought I had some great ideas. And then if it costs somebody, what you find out in business is if it costs somebody more money to implement your stuff, even though it's a good idea, in addition to what they're doing, why would they want to charge the customer more? Unless it's somehow helping the customer or doubling the value of their product already for a little bit of money. So anytime you're adding more cost to anybody, that's not a good business plan. What you want to do is make it more efficient, make it less expensive, something that solves a problem that no one's ever been able to do before, and they pay money for it.
See, going back
to
Don used the word why. You remember what I just said earlier to this gentleman in the back? Why would I want to fund his business? It's the same thing that a bank or an investor or anybody else is looking at. Tell me about the marketplace. In other words, if I can, I'm getting you way away from the SBIRs. But Don just made a beautiful point behind it. Okay, so let me just use one for an example. You happen to be in the manufacturing of medical equipment, primarily for medical equipment for elderly people. I'm making this up as I'm going along. I'd start my statements out by saying industry research indicates between 2015 and 2030, the baby boomer population is growing at a rate of 50%. Fastest growing industry segment in the United States and the world today. So what did I just tell you? I segmented the market. There is research that shows those are the correct numbers, by the way, okay? And it not only in the United States, but the worldwide. Okay? Let me go back to my stupid statement. Left-handed pen. How many left-handed people are there in the world today? Ballpark, 10%. You want to be technical, it's 11 point something. I don't remember the exact number now, okay? So there's about 10% of the world's population. So we now know our segment of the market. But nobody said, what am I going to do to make that pen right yet? We're developing the concept behind it. And that's, let me kind of, I'm a marketing guy that's been doing technology since 1974, okay? And a lot of technology never gets introduced into the marketplace. And a lot of people believe that patents equal money. I'm going to give you a different answer, okay? Less than 10% of all patents are ever commercialized and make money. The real number is 7.6 if you want to get technical about it. You can find that at uspto.gov. They'll give you that information. I got a guy over in South St. Pete. He has got 28 patents, 0 revenue producing. But he is an inventor. He is not a business person. He likes inventing, and so that's good for him. But remember, why would they want to choose your business over the others who are filing for the same grant? That's the story that you've got to be telling, okay? Without a lot of technical data. Yes, sir.
We're starting a drug discovery company to target primarily pancreatic cancer. We think we have a good avenue on that.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're doing is mainly molecular modeling, computational drug discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a platform that we could do fee-for-service for other people.
Right.
Now the SBIR would be towards the pancreatic drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Should we even mention this platform that can be done fee-for-service with other clients or something?
I'm going to be looking at what was the request for that they're looking for.
Okay.
And I'm going to be answering those questions.
Okay.
Anything else becomes extra. But the first thing I'm going to do is answer the questions which they're looking for. Good. We got some good questions. There's nothing more. Don, thank you for helping me out. He and I have done a couple of these together before, so this is why I picked on him. The rest of y'all I don't know well enough to pick on. See? Because I remember Don when he came up with this frog. 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Neat idea. Yes, sir.
I have a simple question. What is R&D?
Research and development.
Oh, research and development.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. My mistake. I hate acronyms, but yeah, I use them, okay? Any other questions? If not, I'll be around for a little while. Somebody wants to meet me today. They've got this gentleman.